कैसे हैं हमारे मशरूम गूवर्स। आज हमें यह वीडियो कुछ विशेष परिस्थितियों में बनाने की ज़रूरत पड़ी। जैसे कि हमने अपने एक मित्र से सुना कि भूसा महंगा हो गया है, तो कई ग्रोवर्स ने जो है कंपोस्ट बनाना छोड़ दिया है। अरे भाई, तो कंपोस्ट बनाने में भूसे का ही योगदान है क्या? अगर ओयस्टर मशरूम उगाना है तो बिना भूसे के भी उग सकता है, या कम मात्रा में भूसा डालें तो भी उग सकता है। तो कुछ यही 5-6 कारणों को लेके हमें यह वीडियो बनाने की ज़रूरत पड़ी। तो जैसे उसमें से पहला हो गया एब्सेंस ऑफ आइडिया, मतलब हमारे पास आइडिया की कमी है, हम कुछ सोचते नहीं हैं। जो रटा रटाया प्लान है, जो कुछ रटा रटाया बता दिया गया वही हम करते हैं, अपना कुछ नया नहीं करते हैं। तो एब्सेंस ऑफ आइडिया है। अरे हम भूसे की जगह अगर कहीं किसी मकान में लकड़ी का काम हो रहा है तो लकड़ी के छीलन को भी स्टेरलाइज करके हम आगे का काम कर सकते हैं। उसको स्टेरलाइज किया, उसी तरह से भूसे की जगह लकड़ी का छीलन डाला या दोनों को मिला के डाला तो भी काम हो जाएगा। अगला एक पॉइंट है हमारा एक्सप्लोर थिंग्स, नई चीज़ों को थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लोर करें, जानें समझें, बाहर जाएं, कुछ नया आइडिया लें। ऐसा नहीं कि क्लास हो गई, कहीं पे भी आपने ट्रेनिंग ली तो बस उतना ही है। नॉलेज ज़्यादा है, बहुत ज़्यादा है। एक होती है नॉलेज, एक होती है विजडम। विजडम जो होती है वो भगवान के द्वारा दी हुई होती है, वो तो परिवर्तित नहीं हो सकती है, लेकिन जो नॉलेज है उसको हम बढ़ा सकते हैं। तो चीज़ों को एक्सप्लोर करें, नॉलेज लें, और उसके बाद हमारा आता है टू द पॉइंट थिंग्स, मतलब जिस काम के लिए निकलें वही काम करें उस समय अंतराल में, बाकी जो है उसके बाद अगला काम करें। निकले हैं मशरूम के लिए, पता चला फ़ोन पे कहीं और लग गए और उसके बाद जो है कहीं और निकल लिया, मशरूम चला गया पीछे। तो ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए। मशरूम की जगह हम और कोई काम भी ऐसे ही ले सकते हैं। आज की ये जो है वो मशरूम प्लस जर्नल चीज़ों की मिली जुली स्लाइड है। अच्छा, अपडेट योरसेल्फ, अपने को अपडेट करते रहें। हमारे यहाँ क्या है कि चीज़ें बस वही पुरानी घिसी पिटी लगी रहती हैं, और नॉलेज जो है बाहर से देखें। कोई अच्छा मशरूम चैनल सब्सक्राइब करें, मशरूम किंग्स जो हमारा चैनल है उसमें भी हम अच्छी अच्छी नई नई चीज़ें डाला ही करते हैं। तो कोई भी अच्छा चैनल सब्सक्राइब कर लें। चैनल से यहाँ मतलब यूट्यूब चैनल ही नहीं है, कोई भी नॉलेजफुल चैनल हो, आपका कोई मित्र हो, सहपाठी हो, तो उससे भी आप जो है मित्रता करना एक तरह से सब्सक्रिप्शन ही हो गया। ठीक है। अच्छा, अगला आता है हमारा इंटीग्रेशन। हमें कोई चीज़ पता चल गई तो बस अपने तक दबाए बैठे हैं। हाँ, कुछ चीज़ों में हो सकता है, लेकिन जो छोटी मोटी नॉलेज है वो किसी को दी जा सकती है। तो वो हम नॉलेज किसी को देंगे तो वो भी हमें कुछ बताएगा, अगर वो भी खुले विचारों का व्यक्ति है। तो आप कुछ ऐसे मित्र बनाएं जो इधर उधर आते जाते हो, टीम वर्क हो उनका, और कोशिश ये करें कि आप ज़्यादा नहीं तो महीने में एक दिन कहीं ना कहीं एक जगह मिलें। मंदिर में मिल सकते हैं, कहीं पे भी मिल सकते हैं, किसी के एक के घर में मिल सकते हैं। कि जैसे 4 हमारे मित्र हैं तो एक महीने एक के यहाँ, दूसरे महीने दूसरे के यहाँ, तीसरे महीने तीसरे के यहाँ, और चौथे महीने चौथे के यहाँ। तो इस तरह से हम मिल सकते हैं, मीटिंग अरेंज कर सकते हैं। तो इंटीग्रेशन होना चाहिए, उसमें जो है एक्सप्लोरेशन होगा, और जो है हमारी जो नए विचार हैं वो एक दूसरे से निकल के आएंगे। अच्छा, उसके बाद वर्क हार्ड, ये थोड़ा सा जो है एक विचार योग्य तथ्य है कि मेहनत केवल आजकल वर्क हार्ड से ही नहीं होता है, बल्कि वर्क हार्ड इन ए राइट वे और इन ए राइट डायरेक्शन। मतलब हम वर्क हार्ड तो करें, कठिन कार्य करें, लेकिन उस दिशा में कार्य करें जिस दिशा में हमारा कार्य होने की जिस दिशा में कार्य होने की हमारी संभावना हो, तो उसी दिशा में हमें वर्क हार्ड करना चाहिए। अब पहला हमारा टाइम लैप्स वीडियो है जो आप हमारी प्रेजेंटेशन में देखेंगे। उसके बाद हमारा जो है अनेक देशों का वीडियो है, सब कुछ इंटरनेट से लिया गया है और जैसे है वैसे ही हमने प्रेजेंट किया है, क्योंकि किसी और की मेहनत को हम क्यों कॉपी करें, तो उसी तरह से बिल्कुल प्रेजेंट किया है हमने। अच्छा, इसमें कुछ हस्बैंड वाइफ भी जुड़े हुए हैं। किसी वीडियो में कोई बहुत ओल्ड एज के व्यक्ति भी काम कर रहे हैं और एक लोगों से हमारी मुलाकात हुई, हमने उनको सब कुछ बताया कि कैसे होगा, तो वो कह रहे हैं अब भैया इतना पढ़ लिख के हम भूसा का काम करें, भूसा छुएं, लेबर ढूंढते हैं। तो हमने कहा भाई बिना अपने किए तो नहीं होगा, लेबर गंदे संदे घुसेगा, लेबर क्या ही करेगा, तो पहले आप जान लीजिए, उसके बाद किसी और से कराइए, वो ठीक बात है। तो अपना काम अपने को ही अच्छा लगता है। तो आगे मशरूम की यात्रा है हमारी, लेकिन अब की हमारी यात्रा नहीं है, ये बाहर के लोगों की यात्रा है, यह दिखाने के लिए कि नए से नए लेके और पुराने से पुराने तक के लोग कहाँ कहाँ और किस तरह से कार्य कर रहे हैं। तो आप इस वीडियो को देखें और उसका लाभ उठाएं। धन्यवाद।
אני עובד בחוות השמפיניון כבר 15 שנה. החווה שלנו מגדלת כ-450 טון בחודש, שהם כ-40% מנתח השוק בישראל. שיטות ההשקיה בגידול פטריות הן שיטות מקובלות בעולם, זה שיטת השקיה בהמטרה. האתגר הוא שאתה לא מצליח לתת את המים לפטריה בכל שלב שהפטריה צריכה אותם. הרטיבות של המצע יורדת בצורה משמעותית, האיכות של הפטריה יורדת והמשקל שלה. נטפים פנו אלינו עם פיתוח טכנולוגיה חדשה של טפטפות יונירם על נגר, טפטפות שמטפטפות פחות מליטר בשעה. המערכת של נטפים פתרה לנו המון בעיות שהיו במערכת ההמטרה, כמו השקיה ללא הגבלה. אנחנו משקיעים דרך המחשב, דרך הטלפון, מהבית. המערכת של נטפים עוזרת לחסוך באנרגיה מכיוון שלאחר ההשקיה הפטריה לא נרטבת ואין צורך לייבש אותה, לכן לא מופעל קירור, חימום, עברור יתר. הפטריה לבנה, מוצקה, כשחותכים אותה אפשר לראות שבפנים היא ורודה, היא סגורה לגמרי, היא חזקה מאוד. בזכות המערכת של נטפים, היבול עלה בכ-30%. יש לנו אפשרות לגדל גל שלישי בכמות גדולה, באיכות גבוהה. כמות הקרקע שאנחנו מייבאים מאירלנד הופחתה, מה שחוסך עלויות. מעל 80% רטיבות, ממש מים יוצאים מתוך האדמה הזאת. אנחנו מתכוונים להמשיך גם בחדרים הבאים, גם בהתפתחויות שלנו, להקים מערכות טפטוף נוספות. אנחנו מאוד מרוצים מהעבודה עם נטפים ומצפים להמשיך את הפרויקט הנוכחי וגם פרויקטים עתידיים.
Welcome to All Farm.
at how huge that is. It's bigger than my hand.
So where did mushrooms like stem from?
Possibly outer space or somewhere else.
Have you ever met anybody with a passion for mushrooms?
No.
He was so smart and it was so cool, and I have a profound new respect for mushrooms.
We also have some king trumpets.
Those things are so cool.
Beautiful.
To think that this grows in nature is so crazy.
Yeah, they're just growing right out the front of the bag where I've sliced it. Mushrooms will find an area where they sense oxygen and humidity, and they'll just grow right out.
The whole process of growing mushrooms is extremely scientifically difficult.
Sciencey.
So this is the incubation area.
Okay.
After they come out of inoculation, they come to sit here until they're colonized.
How many strains are in this little corridor here?
Basically, there's around 10 to 15 different strains in here at any given time.
The mushrooms that Mike is making, they're cultivated basically in a laboratory.
And the ones he makes are obviously, they look very different.
So right now we're in the clean room / lab. This is the room where all the clean work occurs, the inoculation of all the sterilized substrates, and then also the tissue culturing and the propagation of the spawn that we use to grow out all of our mushrooms. This is spawn. This has been grown out with mushroom mycelium.
So what is actually in this?
This is a mixture of whole wheat and water, and then basically it's been sterilized, and then mushroom mycelium has been planted in here.
Every other word I had to have him define because I was learning a new vocabulary.
Yeah, this is a plate that's been grown out with the mushroom mycelium, and I'll take sectors of it and toss it into a sterilized bag. And then after about 2 weeks, it fully colonizes. This was inoculated on 9-5, so now it's ready to go. And I can use this to inoculate about 20 to 30 blocks just from this bag.
This is complicated. This is some serious science.
Yeah, definitely. It's a process, right?
He told us that they know of over 1 million types of mushrooms.
Some theories pointing to the mushrooms came from space, how the spores can survive very harsh climates, extreme colds and extreme hots. Maybe mushrooms landed here on like an asteroid or something.
One thing he did point out was different mushrooms do have different flavors. So some might taste more like a little bit nutty, like cashew, and some might taste a little bit more like poultry, like a turkey.
I had ever really only tried white button mushrooms, which I am not a fan of.
Yeah.
Shiitake and portobellos.
There's so many different ways they grow, different shapes, sizes, colors than those traditional grocery store mushrooms.
And the thing with his is that they have a lot more nutrients than the normal mushrooms you might pick up at the grocery store.
That's a super medicinal mushroom. It's used primarily for, it's not an edible, it's not used in any kind of culinary way. So you basically use it by breaking up the mushroom and boiling it into a tea. It's able to boost the immune function, but it helps with like inflammation too. My grandma's 85 and she has arthritis pretty bad. And then once I introduced her to this stuff, it's like she needs it every week. She's always calling me. And it also promotes like dreams.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You have some wild dreams?
You have some pretty cool dreams when you take it, and yeah, they get pretty interesting.
Can you save me some every
I'll
week?
save you some.
Every week on Saturdays, I'll pick it up.
I'll save you some of that, and yeah, not a problem.
The whole place was like so sterile.
So sterile. I put more rubbing alcohol on my hands than I ever have in my entire life.
Yeah, so we're gonna take our spawn bag and basically just clean it off. Basically, you wipe it down, make sure that it's just clean. You don't want any of the spores that have landed on it or whatnot to land into the substrate. So after that, you basically, yeah, this will just get broken down. Sometimes the bags can break and like the stuff will spill out. So
What do you do?
I have to throw it away. Yeah, you can't even use it because this is a sterile environment inside of here. And as long as I keep my work in front of this station, everything is clean.
So what is this? What's it doing?
This is a laminar flow hood. So this is bringing air in through the top through a pre-filter, and it's pushing it out through a 99.999% effective HEPA filter. Nothing can make it through this filter except sterile air. So yeah, we'll start the process now.
Okay.
So our bags have been sterilized. And we'll just open them up. then that's it.
That's it?
That's it. And then after that, it gets put in front of the fluid. We kind of inflate the bag just a little bit with the sterile air. And we seal it.
So why do you want air to be inside the bag?
It creates this nice plenum. So we have air in there. And then it's going to make it easy to disperse all the grains throughout the sawdust to mix the spawn. Take each bag and then you mix it.
I'm an expert bag shaker, but I don't want to break the bag.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold it like a baby.
That's how you do it, right?
One thing I didn't know is that you have to cook them in order to get all of the nutrients.
The cell walls of the mushrooms are built in a way that you need heat to break them down for us to get the nutritional value out of the mushrooms.
Now we're gonna make a mushroom medley, so a little bit of variety of the mushrooms that Mike has grown, a little bit of oil, and 10 to 20 minutes, and you're ready to eat some mushrooms.
Another thing that I thought was really interesting is the reason that he transfers them to the oak and sets them up in the grow room the way he does is because it mimics how they would grow on trees. Ooh, they're so beautiful already.
Yeah, so those are the Pio mushroom. We'll just put this somewhere on a shelf. And when those ones are fully done, or fully fruited, they kind of look like that.
Wow.
So this is a second flush. After you harvest the mushrooms, they kind of keep growing until they're depleted. The sawdust is all
So you'll
wiped
take
out.
the tops off and then you'll just let them grow more.
Exactly. I'll just leave them in here. Like these were all harvested, and then like within the next week, I'll have more mushrooms growing out of all these bags.
That tent was super cool. It felt like something from out of this universe when you open it and all the humidity comes out, except it totally ruined my hair.
Now we have our humidity kicking on, so this keeps the climate and the humidity at the proper levels. There's a couple basically ultrasonic discs in there that create like these vibrations in the water that send out a whole bunch of droplets that are really small. They're like 0.2 microns in size. And that's being mixed with like fresh filtered air from outside. So I have air coming in through 2 filters, and then it comes in through the tubing, and then it goes right into the water, and it just mixes with fresh water.
Did you make this?
Yep, yeah, I built that myself. It's pretty easy to make, so yeah.
So cool.
It was so easy to harvest the mushrooms. You
Oh,
just
yeah.
push against and then lift up and they come right off in chunks.
So yeah, when you're just harvesting, we're just gonna peel them right off.
Wow, that's it.
That's it, basically. I found the best way to harvest is you could either, with these ones, I kind of like to just grab it at the base.
Okay.
And kind of just pull up, and it just slides right off.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that was so easy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
And it
that.
all just comes off.
Just kind of twist them out. Beautiful harvesting. Good job.
Easy. Here we go. It's a lot of mushroom. How much would a thing like this cost you?
Probably be about like $8.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
I've actually never had like a mushroom medley like this.
Once you cooked them down, they kind of all just appear the same color of brown.
Cheers!
Let's eat some mushrooms.
These are really good.
These are really good.
Because I can definitely taste that nuttiness to that cashew, that flavor.
Here's the lion's mane.
Lion's mane.
Oh my gosh, the flavor is intense. The texture is kind of crabby.
It's like crab, yeah.
And the flavors kind of all work together, but you can tell that each of them has like its own characteristics.
Chestnut is really crispy.
Oh, mine was really smooth.
Not crispy. Like,
There's
Did you spit on me?
yeah, these are great. So how did you get into this?
Got into it at 15. I just became very fascinated with mushrooms out of nowhere. Picked up a couple books and started reading on them, and I was just blown away by how something can start out so small and basically take over just basically anything. Unique benefits for the planet and all that stuff was really intriguing. So I started growing mushrooms at 16 and just became like really hooked on the process. I noticed that mushroom production is lacking out here. Like there wasn't any mushroom farms that I could really visit or go work for or anything like that. So I was like, I'll just start my own.
Mike is really transforming perspectives on what mushrooms are and how to grow them, especially in this region where mushrooms don't naturally grow, but he's found a way to bring it to his local community so everybody can enjoy these mushrooms fresh and grown in the best way possible.
And it's a very unique way to add to your nutrition benefits as well. So like mushrooms, obviously a fungus, but you get your protein, you get some carbs, you get all the things that are good for you, just not in a typical source.
I think what I learned from this experience at Southwest Mushrooms is it's more than worth it to invest in your health in really quality products.
And I definitely want to be eating more mushrooms. Not the ones you can get at the grocery store, but the ones that are supplied by local farmers that you can get at farmers markets.
These gourmet variety of mushrooms have more of those nutrients, more of those vitamins, more of those kind of medicinal properties that you're not getting in your traditional mushroom. There's ways with the powdered forms, the teas, the mushroom elixirs that are popular for you to incorporate the health benefits of mushrooms without having to eat mushrooms.
You're going to be healthier for it, and then the condition of life you're going to lead is going to be better.
It'll save you in the long run, as they
It will
say.
save you in the long run. Thank you guys so much for watching our mushroom farm extravaganza video. If you want to learn about growing other types of foods, you should check out this video where we went to an aeroponic vertical tower garden. It is the future.
I grew up on a chicken farm in New South Wales, and when I was about 8 years old my parents decided for some crazy reason to convert it to mushroom sheds. So pretty much I just learnt to love it, and it just became something that was in my blood. I have a group of, just in the harvesters alone, about 130 female workers. They range from anywhere from 19 up to late 60s. All these women come from different backgrounds, they're different nationalities, but they come every day with a smile on their face and they work really hard to support their families. As the largest supplier of mushrooms to Woolworths, we have a very strong relationship. We harvest based on the Woolworths supply, and we can pick up to 16 tonne a day of mushrooms, and that's all hand-picked. I'd probably say with mushroom farming, it's science-based, but it's also gut feel. Mushrooms themselves are very sensitive, so it's a very controlled environment just to ensure that they're happy. We produce the compost, and we send about 600 tonne of compost from that yard to this site every week. We put it through a tunnel complex, and in those tunnels we do the pasteurisation and also the spawning of the compost, and then we start the process of growing the mushrooms indoors. It's 14 days before we start harvesting. Once you harvest the mushrooms, they're picked, packed, chilled, and they're on your table within 24 hours. During the bushfires, all the borders were closed for us, and we were unable to get raw materials like our spawn through, and we couldn't get any support supply from the other farms on the East Coast. Then on top of that, we've been suffering under the drought since last October, which affected the straw, which is essential to growing mushrooms. Then COVID in early January. First it was quite scary because obviously everyone just wanted to be home with their children who couldn't go to school, so it meant that we had to bring on a lot more employees just to try and maintain the day-to-day operations. It was a pretty hard time for us to begin with, and now we've been going through it for months. Yeah. The team just pulled together. The hours were longer, the days were harder, but we got through it because everyone knew the reason we needed to do it. Biggest thing now is just to ensure that we maintain the quality, can meet the standards that are required for Woolworths customers. Woolworths was a great support during this time. Not only did they give us the sense of security that we knew we could harvest and supply them, they also had store managers come to site and they could see what we were going through. I would say my outlook is extremely positive, not only because the demand for mushrooms is high, people are realising that there's such a great food to eat. On top of that, we're employing more people, so we're supporting the community to ensure that they can keep working through those hard times.
Every year, Gihei Fujara goes into the mountains hunting for this, a masutake mushroom. If the harvest is low, Wholesale matsutake can cost over $500 per kilogram. And over the past 70 years, Japan's harvest has declined by over 95%. Now, the mushroom's future is unclear. So what makes these mushrooms so expensive? And why have they almost disappeared? Matsutake can't exist without trees. They grow connected to the roots of red pine trees in a symbiotic relationship. Matsutake grow in several countries, including China and South Korea, but Japan's fetch the highest price. In 2021, the season's first matsutake were auctioned off for over $7,000. They're harvested once a year, from around September to November. But because the domestic harvest in Japan has plummeted, the price is volatile. Unlike other prized foods, it's not a problem of overharvesting. It's a problem of changing habitat. Matsutake can't be grown on farms. They have to be foraged by hand. But foraging is no easy task. Gihei Fujara has been foraging matsutake for over 60 years. There's a lot of anticipation leading up to each harvest season.
もう本当に所得はバラバラっていうかね、昨年のように干ばつの時にはね、水をかけたところは出ましたけれども、一昨年は、戻り温度で出ないし、ボコボコですね。
Gihei forages from dawn till dusk, returning home around midday to empty out his baskets. Even for someone with his experience, it can be hard to predict the quality of a harvest.
今年はね、まあみんな豊作っていうようなこと言ってますけどね、品物が悪いです。温度が高いためにね、虫が非常に活発して働いておりましてね。
Even with a good harvest, these mushrooms are difficult to find. They blend in with the forest floor and often don't grow at the base of a tree. Knowing where to look is a result of decades of foraging on this mountain.
でどの木が不金木であるかってことはわからないけれどもね、人間が心地よく休めれるそういった場所が一番、人間がね、一休みするか気持ちがいいな、ここは風通しが良くてこぼれ日程度しか日は当たらないしって、山と山行ってね、好きなことをやって、家族が食べていけるってことは、まだ使えるんじゃないかね。
It's exhausting work. But today Gihei is rewarded, filling several baskets each trip. But his work isn't over when the harvest ends. In the off-season, Gihei goes back to the mountain and tries to cultivate matsutake.
そうですね、山を秋収穫しながら歩いてですね、これはちょっともう少し光線を入れた方が良いという時には枝打ちをするとか、それから芝が厚くなったところは芝かきをするとか。
Gihei also tries to spread the spores of matsutake to help them grow. But cultivating matsutake this way takes around 5 years, and success isn't guaranteed. Even though this year was a big harvest, the long-term trend is in decline. In 1953, Japan harvested around 6,400 metric tons of matsutake, but in 2019, it harvested only 14 metric tons. One of the biggest reasons for this decline is a change in how forests are maintained.
山へ上がって手を入れる人もなくなっちゃった。薪を大体焚かなくなっちゃった。ね、昔はもう薪を焚いてたから、もう非常に山を大事にしてたわけ。ところが今薪なんてものは必要ない。山のね、落ち葉を全部集めてきたもんで、山は自然に痩せちゃったんですよね。でそこで松茸がどんどんと増えて。
Matsutake also grows best with red pine trees that are a few decades old. But over the past century, an invasive pest called pinewood nematode has been hurting the growth of red pine trees throughout Japan. Without the trees, matsutake won't be able to survive. The mushrooms also need ample rainfall and cool temperatures early in the season. All of these factors create a delicate balance for Masutake. Harvests vary widely each year, which causes big changes in price. In 2018, prices were 20 to 50% lower than the year before because of a good harvest. But in 2019, when there was a period of dry weather, prices almost doubled, reaching over $800 per kilogram in some parts of Japan.
不作の時にはもう想像もつかないような値段で売られてるね。ここね、10年、まあ昔よりはもうどんどんと値段は上がってきております。
Today, Japan imports over 90% of its masutake from places like China and South Korea. In 2019, only around 14 of the 1,000 metric tons consumed were harvested domestically. Imported masutake are more affordable compared to the ones grown in Japan. But some people consider these mushrooms to be less fresh and not as flavorful. Matsutake with a closed cap are often considered to be the most valuable, but different sizes are used in different types of dishes.
すき焼きはこういう大きいこういうのが大きいのあれして網焼きはこのくらいの15センチくらいそしてあとお寿司はこのくらいのこちらの土瓶蒸しね
A full course meal at this inn costs around $130.
やっぱりこうそんなたくさんね食べれるものじゃないから1年に1回ぐらいこうやって贅沢をしてこのシーズンにね食べるのが一つまあ私たちとしたら楽しい思い出作りになるかなっていうそんな感じですね。
日本人にとって松茸というのは秋に贅沢ですけど皆さんが一度でもいいから食べたい
Due to the declining harvests, Masutake mushrooms were listed as vulnerable in 2020. But the species isn't gone yet.
松を大事にして山を手入れをして松茸のこの分あんまり日が当たったじゃいけないけれどもこぼれ日が入るぐらい
But if its growth and environment aren't sustained, this legendary mushroom likely won't get cheaper anytime soon.
Welcome to All Farm.
तो अभी तक आपने हमारी पुरानी स्लाइडों में देखा कि किस तरह से लेडीज़, ओल्ड एज के लोग, वृद्ध लोग और हस्बैंड वाइफ अपने काम में लगे हुए हैं, और हमने बाहर की टेक्नोलॉजी भी दिखाई कि किस तरह से बाहर के लोग जो है मशरूम का काम कर रहे हैं, बड़े बड़े फार्म हाउस बनाए हुए हैं और टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करके अच्छे से अपना काम कर रहे हैं। ये स्लाइड हमने इसलिए बनाई कि मशरूम का काम बहुत से लोग केवल सब्सिडी पाने के लिए करते हैं कि तो ऐसा ना करें। गवर्नमेंट से जिस काम के लिए पैसा लें उसी काम में लगाएं। ऐसा नहीं है कि मशरूम इंडस्ट्री बहुत छोटी है, मशरूम इंडस्ट्री बहुत बड़ी है और उसमें ईमानदारी से, मेहनत से, लगन से काम करने की ज़रूरत है। अच्छा, इधर हम देख रहे हैं कि हमारा चैनल, बहुत से लोग देख रहे हैं हमारे वीडियो हमारे चैनल पर, लेकिन सब्सक्राइब नहीं कर रहे हैं। तो प्लीज़ अगर आपको कंटेंट अच्छा लगता है तो सब्सक्राइब ज़रूर करें और वीडियो को लाइक करें। धन्यवाद। अब हमारी बिटिया वसुधा सिंह आपसे कुछ कहेंगी।
प्लीज़ हमारे वीडियो को लाइक करें और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें। धन्यवाद।